Have you ever been thinking about a book that you had just read? Like it's a really great story and you just can't get it out of your brain? But then you're thinking so much about the book that you start thinking of the book itself. Like the paper and ink, page by page book. And then you start thinking, what would the world be like without books? I mean, how are books even possible? How are they made? This video is going to go into the chemistry of books and explain a little bit more of how they are made. If you think about it, books are mostly made up of two things, paper and ink. So to know more about the chemistry of books, we have to know more about the chemistry of, you guessed it, paper and ink. So let's break it down and start with the chemistry of paper. It all begins with a tree. As a tree grows, it needs rain, sunshine, and the carbon dioxide that we breathe out. In return, it gives us the oxygen that we need to breathe. Thank you, trees. But a time comes in a tree's life when it is summoned by teachers, students, companies, and everyday people. That is when it turns into lumber. Then the tree gets put in a metaphorical dryer, where it gets put on a tumble cycle to get rid of all the bark. When the bark is gone, it gets chopped up into little pieces called chips. Then it's basically boiled to saturate the chips of wood at a really high temperature. Then it gets washed, where it's blasted with water to remove unwanted parts. And by the end of washing, it's a pale brown sludge with 95% saturation. At this point, things can be added, such as hydrogen peroxide, which is used to bleach the paper. Then the paste-like product is put through a machine that extracts the water and presses this together, with the end product as a huge sheet of paper, which is then rolled up and shipped off to get cut up and packaged. On average, one log can create 15 packages of printing paper. And now onto the chemistry of ink. Ink starts out as two main things, the pigment and the vehicle. The pigment is what gives the ink its color. The vehicle is what carries the pigment in a way so that it spreads easily. Otherwise, the pigment would just stay in powdered form, and that is hard to write with. The only problem is that pigment and water don't bond very well since they're insoluble. So, in order for these two things to bond, another thing has to be added. But what is most commonly used to bond these two foes? The answer is honey. Honey can mix with both pigment and water, so it becomes one solid. But just shaking it up isn't nearly enough. This combination has to be forced together by being smashed and mixed and smashed and mixed. Then things like drying agents can be added and mixed some more. Then the ink is sealed up and ready for delivery, where it gets put into pens and ink cartridges. Then the ink is used to print words on the paper, which is then bound along one side and shipped to stores near you. For more information on the chemistry of books, please go to www.chemistryislife.com.